Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Hope you're having a good day and that there's goodness in what's happening in your day. That there is some wonder and glory in it. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Kristen, good morning to you. Karen, hello, hello. Hope you're having a great day. Little cup of joy this morning. Who doesn't like a cup of joy? Everybody's having a staying warm in these chilly little days, and things I think are might warm up a little bit here, but doing well, everyone. I'm trying to get myself organized here. You never know how these things work out. This is what we're doing, a live thing here. All right. Hello, everyone. All right, great. Good morning, friends. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 21st day of February on this Wednesday at 11:11. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of this day. And I hope that you are finding some joy in it. I have my cup of joy, which is helpful on this day, I'll tell you. So there is this way in which I think uh, we're in this age. I don't know where I want to start this morning. We're in this age where it really is in many ways Dickinsonian. And I say that in the sense of it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. There we have access to wonderful things. We have real things in our midst that are just absolutely amazing in terms of technology, in terms of the ability to move and get around, in terms of creature comforts. Most of us have more creature comforts in our life in terms of indoor plumbing and nutritious food and central air and heating than all of the kings of England. you know, then that really, okay, well, we haven't, there's a new king in England now, Charles, but prior to Charles, then there's never been a king that had the creature comforts that mostly the average ones of us have. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing time to be alive. At the same time, it's incredibly challenging that there's all kinds of messages coming at us. There's all kinds of ideas coming at us. The world seems more disparate and separated and apart from one another. It seems there is less joy in many things, regardless of how many cups of joy we might have. In many ways our hearts hurt in these days, and so part of tonight, we're actually beginning a series with four of my colleagues and other churches around the area called the Essentials. And we decided to do this because of the fact that I think all of us know in our hearts that we're in this kind of best of times, worst of times feeling, and so that whatever 2024 has in store for us as we kind of wrap up the second month here, and we go into this last week, whatever these next 10 months have in store, there's a very good sense it might be arduous, it might be difficult, it might be something that whether it's difficult physically or whether it's difficult in our outward way. There's this way in which that the challenges of our age are tearing at us in some ways, whether it's isolation or whether it's political discord or whether it's economic insecurity. It's all out there. So we decided to do our Lenten series, which what we do is we gather at 6 o'clock. We'll gather at 6 o'clock tonight, and we'll begin over in New Bedford, and we'll begin the journey toward contemplating what we call the essentials, which are basically 5 disciplines that we can do. What can we do in the midst of all of this? Because it all seems so big. It all seems too much. It all seems a little bit beyond us to one degree or another, and particularly our ability to get some purchase on it and to make a difference. Whether we're that all these things out there seem to want to take a bite out of us in one way or another. And how do we contend with this? What can we do as we walk towards the cross and Eastertide over this Lenten time? What things can we adopt in our lives that can actually make a difference? And that what we truly believe is that this happens within the 3-meter zone of our own being. That this happens in our own lives. It happens with the people that are around us. It happens right immediately surrounding us. These are not big ideas and big thoughts. These are personal ideas and personal thoughts, because that's where the fight is these days. You fight where the fight is, and the fight is in our hearts and in our minds, and there's plenty of fighting out there in the world, but we can't. But we can little affect that, and that actually what will affect that is our tending our own spirit. So these essentials have that are starting tonight. I'll be teaching the first one, and we're teaching on prayer. This first and most. But beyond worship, which is another one of the primary disciplines of the church, I'll be teaching tonight on the discipline of prayer. And so I want to touch on it a little bit today. Not that I'm going to give you the whole thing, our whole teaching tonight, but there's one element that I want to use just as an encouragement, just as a way that we might begin to think about these things, and this age that we find ourselves. And it begins with the story from the 12th and 13th chapter of Numbers. I won't read you the whole story. It's a little long, but I'll just give you the highlights. So the people of Israel they left Egypt. They're in the wilderness. They're wandering around for a while, and they come to the promised land. They come to the land that God has promised them. When they come to this land, God says to Moses, "Hey, send them out. Go up to the Negev, which is the region of Canaan. Go up to the hill country and see that this is the land that you are to dwell." And so Moses sends them out. He sends out these 12 spies. He sends the spies out to go recon the area. And so off they go. And he says, gives them their marching orders, go up to the Negev, go up to the hill country and see what this land is, whether it is people who dwell there are strong or weak, or whether there's few or many, whether it's rich or poor. So, and be of good courage. And when you do, bring back some grapes, so that we know you actually did it, but also to see the quality of the goodness that's up there. So the spies went out, and they spent 40 days up there spying around, snooping and sneaking, and that as they snooped and sneaked, they discovered that the land was filled with milk and honey. It was a great place. It was also filled with giants. It was filled with the text is pretty clear. They were descendants of Anak, which descendants of Anak means they were Nephilim. They were giants. They were whatever you think about that, and whatever you think about Bible saying that, this was not oh gosh, there was a lot of them. Oh gosh, it looks scary. That they were actually the enemy of humanity. That's up there. They're truly giants and giants galore. And so they come back, and everybody kind of, 10 of the spies are like, we can't go there. It's filled with giants. It's horrible. We can't do it. Like it's too bad. There's no way. How is it that God, how they lament, how is it that God brought us out of Egypt, out of slavery, across the desert, set part of the waters, and then delivered us into the hands of giants? This is not going to work. And they basically balk and refuse to go, except for Caleb. And Caleb says, "Let's get them." That's almost the literal translation. Let's go up at once and attack. Let's go up and we'll be able to occupy it, and we'll be able to overcome it. Let's go. Is Caleb's. Now they end up not going, no matter how much Caleb tries to get them to go, and that God actually, this is one of those smoting times that God actually wants to punish Israel for this. He said he says, I'm going to give you this land. You got to believe me that I'm going to give you this land. And the fact that you don't believe me, the fact that I did all these things for you, I brought you out of Egypt, I got you across the desert, and then you're on the doorstep, and I'm asking you to go fight this battle, and you won't do it. And says, and so he and Moses have a little chat, and says, well, okay. He said, I'll do it. He says, okay, I will not punish you. I will not, but you all don't get to go to the promised land. You're going to wander in the wilderness, and we're going to wait for another generation. You're going to wander in the wilderness for 20 years, and we're going to wait for another, so that you, or for 40 years, so that you all, that the people who are here are going to be buried in the ground in the wilderness somewhere, and their new generation is going to come and occupy this. That's what ends up happening. This and so this fairly famous story is the story of the journey of how we get the 40 years in the wilderness, how we get the people who, even though God rescues them, even though they're provided for any number of times, can't face the giants. And yet Caleb is the one lone voice that says, "Let's go get them." And my encouragement to you today is what I think is, and this is where we don't necessarily think about this story in terms of prayer, but I think it actually is a lot like our how we approach our lives. Okay, God did this. God got me this far. Okay, I've been provided for up to this. But that next thing, holy smokes, there's no way we're going to do that. We haven't. This is a reality. It's often a reality in our church, and often in a reality in maybe in our families, or often, how are we going to get through this? We're an urban church in this urban setting, and traditional worship isn't all that sexy anymore. People don't like to go to church. They got other things to do. The kids are in sports. Oh my God, if I have the kids are in sports conversation one more time, I'm going to die. Kids have been in sports for a long time. I get it. The athletic directors have taken over, but that's only a part of the story. That's only a part of the journey. The question when it comes to prayer, the question when it comes to engaging this is our invitation to be a Caleb. To be when everybody else around us is saying, oh, I don't know how we're going to get there. To be a one who says, let's get them. Let's attack. Let's go after this thing. And what that looks like in our prayer life is actually, and this is the trap, what is spiritually called, and I'm grateful to a guy by Gary Moritz who wrote a book with a chapter about this. It's really that he maps it out well. He says that this is really about small thinking. That we're willing to think in grand terms. I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to, and even we used to be trained as kids to think in grand terms. I don't know about you, but I grew up in an era where we were told again and again, anybody can grow up to be president. One of the wonderful things about America is that anybody could grow up to be president. Now, I don't know who would want to be president at this juncture, and anybody who wants the job, I'm a little sketchy about. But this notion that was a foundational belief that the United States was a place of opportunity, and because you lived in this place of opportunity, that anybody could grow up to be president. Anybody could grow up to be, anybody could grow up to do the thing that they want to do in this place. There's a place of freedom and opportunity. It was a part of our belief and our culture that we were actually encouraged. Boy, I use the word actually a lot. That we were encouraged to think big. And when we talk about prayer, I want to encourage us to pray big, that we might actually escape the trap of small thinking. We've been taught again and again and again to limit our expectations. We're trained. It's throughout our culture, and we're being trained again. In so many different ways. It comes out in all these crazy. I think it comes out in all these crazy ways in which we end up. We see people wanting to not and end up in that place. For instance, how many people want to go to college? You can actually go to college now to be an influencer, or you want to go to influence from what to what? I have no idea. But you can go to you can go to be a YouTuber. You can study to be a YouTuber. You can generate money through people viewing your YouTube videos. And the one of the richest men in the world is Mr. Beast, who is a YouTuber, and that all he's done is make videos. That's what he does. And because people watch those videos, he generates income. And he generates income. He does crazy things with his money, and he gets people to do crazy things as a result of that. That kind of, I think that's actually the metastasizing. That's like the cancerous expression of where we all ought to be, or where we're all invited to be. Ought to be is a harsh way to think about it, but where we're invited to be in our spiritual lives, of what could be possible in our lives, that we can be filled with joy in any given hour of any given day. We can move through the world with purpose and with wonder. We can understand the power of our being and the power that we have to impact the world around us. And I don't mean the world around us. I mean the people who are in the same room with us, and the people who we're doing life with. We have this ability even to bring our petitions to the one who made us all the time. This ability to pray, to be in conversation with God again and again and again. And yet, how often do our prayers look like, Lord, just let me just get through this day? Goodness. When we are approaching the throne of the Most High, the one who keeps the planets in the sky, the one who keeps the sun shining, the one who gives life to every blade of grass and every being, and even ourselves, that's a pretty weak ask. And because it's a weak ask, what it ends up doing is framing our world in weakness. You see, the problem with that's what happens in this story of the 13, 14 numbers. It is the story of small thinking. That we couldn't possibly beat the giants, and because we can't possibly beat the giants, what are we going to do? We don't know what's possible. We don't know what's possible in our lives. We don't know what's possible for our bodies. We don't know what's possible in our healing. And that when we pray boldly, when we pray the biggest prayers we can think of, we actually open possibilities in ourselves and in our world that we don't know. But and you know what? Nothing there is absolutely the possibility that nothing may be different in our praying from big prayers versus little prayers. I'm not saying they always come true, and I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder for God to do good work with us, for our Father in heaven who wants to give us all good gifts, to give us those gifts when we are holding out a thimble versus a bucket. It is when we open ourselves to be poured into with as a big vessel, we open ourselves to all sorts of things that can move. And I'm not saying they'll move every time. I'm not saying this is not that again, not how God works. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But what I can say is that we can stop sabotaging our lives in this way that we've been fed this bill of goods about that we really can't affect anything and we really can't make a difference, and we really shouldn't expect a whole lot, and we really we'll never buy a house because we're because of the economic situation. We'll never are you hearing the stories that are being told around us? Friends, pray boldly. Be a Caleb. Go into this thing and say, let's get them. Let's attack this world. Let's attack this promise with the biggest prayers we can muster. One of the greatest preachers of a couple centuries ago, a guy by the name of Phillips Brooks, said it this way: pray the largest prayers. You cannot think a prayer so large that God, in answering it, will not wish you had made it a little larger. Pray not for crutches, but for wings. This week is the 75th anniversary, and tomorrow we're going to talk about this a lot more, but I wanted to just note it today and close this out with it. Today is this week is the 75th anniversary of the Marines going ashore in Iwo Jima. When the 80,000 Marines went ashore in Iwo Jima, 7,000 of them, nearly 7,000 of them end up as casualties, or end up being killed in some of the most severe fighting that the United States Marine Corps has ever encountered. They're downtown. There is down at Memorial Park. We'll probably be down there tomorrow. We'll see what the weather does. But is the statue of the Iwo Jima Memorial, and the Marines on Iwo Jima, their plan was a Caleb plan. They prayed big prayers that we're going to go after this thing. We're going to they said, let's go up and occupy this country, and that we will be able to overcome it. Friends, we're in an age where we can learn a few things from the Marine Corps. Now, I'm not saying go out and storm an island, but I am saying go out and take on the giants of our age, the things that you think are too big, that scare you, and pray great prayers into them. Pray something bigger than you'd ever possibly imagined. Pray something, because here's the thing. Small thinking limits us. It limits our potential. It limits what God can pour into us. Small thinking ruins our relationships. When we're constantly in this idea of contracting, we become vessels of hope, of hopelessness and despair. And small thinking hurts our community. It sabotages God's success in the world. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ruck up. Lean in. Don't listen to the other voices that would tell you that the giants are too big. Pray great and huge and mighty prayers for your life. Pray not for crutches, but for wings. All right, friends, we'll be over in New Bedford tonight, over at First Congregational Church, over at Lund's Corner tonight at 6 o'clock. The soup will be on. We'll have worship at 6:45. At 7 o'clock, we'll begin this teaching. If you like what you heard, you'll get a little more of that. And so it's my hope that you'll you will pray the largest prayers that you can imagine today, and not let the giants of our age back you down. Peace and grace to you, my friends. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.